I don't think I uploaded anything yesterday. What do you say?
The two faces of the IMF, United States Inc. and United States of America Inc.
No, that's not a Patrick file.
Okay.
I think there's a lot in that document that is consistent with what Patrick says. But I talked briefly with him about it, and he doesn't agree right now that the powers that she claims the Vatican has are real. And it is a question I've always had myself, that at the revolution, our revolution, we are in the position to renege on whatever previous agreements the Vatican had with anybody, because we're a fresh new nation. We don't have agreements with anybody unless we make them then. So that's just completely for your information. My thought on that is very much of what's being said in those documents are right, and we need to edit it down, because she mostly agrees with Patrick. We need to edit it down and remove the things that are not quite the same.
Okay, because I looked at, there was that document that somebody else had posted up that turns out that's almost 90 pages.
This is 72 pages.
Okay, yeah. And because I copied and pasted it off the original website it was posted on, and I guess she posted something else new yesterday. That's 10 more pages.
That actually turns out to be a private letter that I ran across. I didn't know it was private at the time, and someone had posted that letter on the Yahoo group about a week or two ago.
Yeah.
But
I asked you about it a couple days ago.
they didn't say anything about what the letter was, and I get 500 emails a day. I'm not going to read to the bottom of everything. I read the first page, and it was just somebody talking about their own website. So I mean, if people are going to post links or refer us to files, I would like them to describe in a few sentences what they find interesting about it and how it relates to our process. And if they can't say something like that, then I don't even know if they read it themselves. Are we supposed to read it for them and tell them what it means?
Okay, no, I comprehend what you're saying there.
Okay.
So
I mean, I always make the point of when I post something, I try to explain what I see in it.
Mhm.
Other people are greatly offended when I do that, because some people love to just dump links. It's like throwing books on the front porch and say, "Hey, didn't you read that?"
Yeah, no, I comprehend completely what you're saying. I guess my question was the family, that Anna lady wrote something else yesterday. That's different.
Pardon?
Just like she wrote something else. She had something else posted on that same other site where the 72-page thing came from that she just wrote yesterday.
Oh, I think you're right. And I think there are some revised orders to the court in her 72-page Two Faces of IMF document, and I think that was an update to it. But we're not working. That's just for your information. Much of it agrees with Patrick, but some of it doesn't.
Okay.
I felt it was just good vehicle for people who are totally new to the system, and they need to get up to speed. Where do I start? What do I do first? How do I turn on the computer? I thought that would be a good start for them to do that.
Okay. Is this a lady who's been on some of the calls?
Pardon?
Has this lady been on some of Patrick's calls?
No.
Okay.
I sent her some of the documents. I just had a brief. I saw it. I read it. I liked a lot of what I saw. I called her, talked with her briefly, sent her some documents, and that's as far as it's gone.
Okay. So I guess my next question is, what is our topic for this evening since there's no new document?
I talked with Patrick briefly. He's reanalyzing the documents he has, and I think he's got some important modifications and concepts that he wants to present.
Oh, wonderful.
How many you got on there now, Tom?
We got 9.
Hey, Patrick, how you doing today?
Okay. I don't know whether anybody really wants to hear anymore. Dropping off quite a bit here.
Well, yeah, people could also have a busy day. You never know. I think it's, just as long as they hear the call, either participating or listening to it later. A lot of people are downloading the calls, way more than that are on the calls.
Well, if they're downloading them, then they ought to start hearing what the hell, that there's important stuff, and they ought to try and get it as quick as possible.
Yes.
So that should be increasing the number of people that are on the call.
Yes, it should. So really, even though we just have a few who start being successful, that should be progress for us, shouldn't it?
Well, we are successful. Okay.
Yeah, we are successful.
You just don't realize what success really is. Okay? That's the problem with most people. They don't realize what success really is. Okay? Success is understanding, gaining the knowledge, getting the foundation. Okay? That's really what you're getting success from. Okay? Is success riches? No. You are rich beyond your wildest dreams if you know how to combat these people. And that's the thing that we're starting to realize. We're starting to put together how to take these people down. And that is power. Okay?
Yes.
We've been listening to too damn much stuff out here in the damn patriot community about trying to avoid being in the public realm. No, we have to be in the public realm. Okay? Because this country was founded as a republic. Okay? Not a private, but a republic. Okay? That's what everybody has to be. They have to be a republic officer. Not a private officer. You can have private affairs as a republic officer, and a republic officer stands over a public officer. Because a republic officer was created or set up initially per the Articles of Confederation. The public officers, they were set up by the Constitution as a corporation. The republic officer is the one who can elect the public officers. The public officers can't elect a republic officer. They can't create them either. They have tried to create a fictionary, a copyrighted entity out here in fraud for their benefit under a usurpation. There's a whole bunch of words. You can take that page, 1 1/4 page of words that I sent to Tom, and start going through those, and then start looking at every word that's in those definitions. And when I started doing that, and then going from those definitions into other words, I'm over 11 pages right now of words that I'm going to try and incorporate into my court filing. But it is a republic court filing. Now, if you're coming in as an officer of the republic, there is no charge to filing a case. Only when you stand in the private do you have to pay, because what are you in the private? You are a privateer, a pirate. When you're trying to operate in the public realm, the private can't operate in the public realm. Only the republic officer and the public officers can operate in the public realm. You got to know which game board you're playing on. That you can have private affairs in the background, and those stay strictly private. Now we have to surrender all of these 9-digit usurpation numbers that are out here, because they've been used to basically try and destroy the country. They've been a subversion. Subversion. Okay? One who seeks to determine and overthrow established authority of government. An organization that teaches and advocates the overthrow of the government by force or violence. That's what these bankers are doing. The Church of Rome and basically the bankers and everybody else that's come in. They set up this as a subversive system. Undermining the foundation of the government, and that's what they've been doing. They undermined the foundation of our de jure republic form of government. Now, this does not secure immunity from deportation as a subversive alien. We have to get rid of these, our fictional persons, as aliens, so we surrender them. This subversive action that is going on is the Antichrist that is called out in the Bible. Your gift that was given to you by the Republic, by the Articles of Confederation, setting up the Republic, you paid for it in full by living by your will and wish to live for over 90 days. It was a 90-day payment. It was done by your will and wish to survive. Okay, so you paid with that with your life to live. Then, and that is well documented, okay, you were recorded into the book of life, okay, into the living land records. Okay, that's what basically happened. Now, they turned around and took a certificate of live birth, but that certificate of live birth registration number could not go into effect until 90 days after your birthing. And that is your documented proof that your payment has been made, because they could not access that and have it transferred over. See, you had to voluntarily grant it over to your Republic tenant, which is the name on the certificate of live birth. From there, he turned around and granted it or allowed it to be subleased to the USUS, the second United States, and you can look up USUS in the dictionary and see what it says USUS is. And then you'll see why they set up a second United States. So you got the United States of the United States as a USUS. An us. And an us is a USUARIUS in the sublease. So that's another word you can look up. And they set up this as a scheme to defraud the landlord by a usurpation of both his rights and property. And that's what basically you need to try and go through. Why do you think you go into court and basically they don't hear you? Well, there's something called an estoppel. And basically in the definition of estoppel, get to it here. Too damn many words. Estoppel, a bar which stoppeth a person or closes up his mouth to allege or pledge what actually may be the truth. They do not want to hear the truth in that court. So they have done, and that's why it's a bar court. It's an estoppel court. They do not want to hear the truth. You come in and try and plead the truth, and they will, like I said before, they will charge you with contempt of court. Because this is not a court of truth in these actions. They don't want the truth. And that's where you come in and you surrender the document. Now it's in their hands. They have to take care of it.
Tim.
Okay? You understand that? Until you start surrendering these items and giving them up, you're going to be held liable for them. And you're never going to get your freedom. You're like Linus in the cartoon Peanuts. You're never going to grow up. You're still hanging on to that blanket, sucking your thumb. You've got to shed all of this evil stuff to become free. We've been going to the wrong place in our actions. We don't go to the Federal Reserve Bank. We don't go to the United States Treasurer. Okay? Where do we go? Well, basically, we go to where the accessing port is for the Republic Treasury. Now, the United States Treasurer is one of those points, but is where we need to go is really to our state treasurer. In this country, there are 51 treasurers that have access to the treasury of the Republic. So we go to our state treasurer. Okay? Treasurer, a state or municipal officer whose duties are to receive and take custody of public monies, to pay them out on warrants. The state treasurer is not a trustee of monies in the state treasury, but holds them only as the agent of the state. Big connotation in the understanding of that last sentence. And that is per American Jurisprudence, Volume 1, States, Section 54. We send our warrant, okay, into our receipt warrants, into the state treasurer. Our Republic officer receipt warrants. You work for a corporation, okay? You basically go out and you have a motel bill, you have gas bills, whatever. You have to collect your receipt to get compensated for that. The same scenario is right here. You are a Republic officer, and you have to turn in your receipts. What I was doing with the Excel files, trying to put them together and send them to the Federal Reserve Bank, I was sending them to the wrong place. They need to go to your state treasurer. You identify where the receipts came from, and then you sign them, but you sign them in front of a state notary public. To get the verification, then you send them to the treasurer as a warrant for payment upon sight. I was close to that about 6 years ago on that one when I went back through my records, because I was trying to go to this treasurer at that point in time. I sort of got brushed aside, and I was trying to do the wrong thing by taking a certificate of live birth in there. No, you just send your receipts in, but you have to acknowledge that you are a Republic officer. You are a man over the age of 25 is a U.S. elector. Okay? That's what I got on my license plate on the back of my truck. U.S. elector. We're the officer of that office. Now, a woman is basically a Republic office agent. They can't be an officer. They are an agent of the office. And they're an agent of the office of their father, their dead husband, or their living husband. And that is for the Book of Ruth. In this country, women were not to vote. I'm sorry to say. You're voting, you're in the damn commercial world. And I've said that before. You don't need, a U.S. elector does not need a 9-digit voting card, because all that's doing is tying them into accessing your account for funding to pay for all their damn bills that they keep passing. Take the money away from them. You don't need to vote. You have more power. A woman has more power in the back room than they do out in front. So, and then also, as an office, a republic office, you need to have a budget. So you turn around and you submit a warrant to fund your budget for the year. You determine how much operating expenses you need, what funding you need, and you put it in. There again, it goes in as a warrant into the treasurer. We don't need to have the private laws passed that some people have done in the past, but that was only for bigger ticket items to set up like a public corporation, to have a private law so that they get public funding. Individual public funding from the Treasury. But since they set this thing up in 1933, we can go right to the treasurers and put this in. They have to honor these, okay? Because we're an officer, and we are the highest officer in the country as the elector. The president is one of the elected. So is the president higher than the electors? I doubt it. The electors could always have him replaced. If they just start standing up in that capacity, charging treason. And it's about time that some of these public officers were charged with treason. But you've got to get in there and start standing up as a republic officer or an agent of the office. Now the FBI has to interface with us, because when we were trying to declare that we were in the private, the FBI cannot deal with between private and public. Because the private is an enemy to the nation, to the republic. If they're operating out front there in an open capacity. Like I said, you can have your private affairs, but you keep them in the private. You can have your private holdings, your private estate, your private enterprise, and those are private affairs in the background. But you still have to be able to come out into the republic in a public interfacing scenario. You can have private-to-private conversations and private-to-private contracts. That's okay, but you got to learn what you're doing. US in Roman law. See, this goes all the way back to Rome, okay? So setting up the second United States to complete the process of having US, to complete that word and fulfill what was already in Roman law out there. A precarious enjoyment of land corresponding to the right of habitat of houses being closely analogous to the tendency of sufferance or at will of English, okay? And basically it's coming in and taking control, false control over your items for their benefit. Versus compared to VERUS. VERUS means truth, truthful, genuine, actual, real. So what is versus? VERSUS. It is against. One side is against the truth in all actions. And in most cases, it's them that is against the truth. Because they have a bar court. And they have state of Iowa against Patrick Devine. Patrick Devine's the truth. Then that means that they must be the opposite, the anti-truth. They don't want the truth, and that's why it's a bar court. They don't want to hear the truth. So basically, Patrick Devine's got to come in and surrender that fictional Patrick Devine to them, the driver's license, the certificate of title to the vehicle, whatever. Give it back to them. That is their sublease. Now they have to settle that up. We expose them, and then basically, if they hold on to the funds, now we have to come in and try and claim that that is not a charitable trust that they have, those proceedings, those assets in. And that's the treason that they're setting, that they've done. Chris has been on to some of this about the charitable trust scenario. But we have to come in and we have to do, like what I was trying to allude to there before, we do an admission, an admittance. We send an admission into, as an officer, as a republic officer, into the court. And then it's under admittance, okay, that we have to come in and do an admittance, the last stage or perfection of copy hold assurances of our full titles. The first thing we have to do is we have to admit that we had a voluntary grant, that we gave a voluntary grant from the Lord to our republic officer, our direct former tenant, or our direct tenant, however you want to look at it. Secondly, our tenant has to surrender all of his contracts, the sublease contracts, and all other contracts back to whoever, and also back to the Lord. We're the landlord. We were born upon the land. So we are the landlord. We are an entry man, and we have made our homestead entry payment for the land that we are holding. And the land that we're holding is our body. And the payment we had was by our will, like I said. And we have provided proof of settlement within the body. We've maintained the body. The third item in admittance is upon descent, where the heir is tenant on his ancestor's death. Okay? The ancestor is the land known as America. It died, and basically the United States of America was created in its place. A younger person. But the heir set up the system. Not the Church in Rome, not the bankers. They have no damn control over any of this stuff. They only operate in fraud. They have no right. Our rights come all the way down from Adam. He was given the planet according to the biblical records for his usage and for his lineage. And we are part of his lineage, okay? We're not a fictional creation from the Church of Rome or from the bankers. So all these people that keep thinking that the Church of Rome has all God Almighty powers and everything else, and they're in charge of all this, and that we've lost everything, no, we haven't. We have to stand up for what is basically well documented in this country and stop believing all the BS. We've listened to all the patriot bullshit out here for years, trying to fight. You don't want to be in the public. I fell into that scenario, and I can see that I was totally misled in that regard. We never got shit from it. Not one damn protection. But if you come in as an officer, as a republic officer, you will start getting what you need. Because now you're an officer standing against them, but you're a higher officer over them. A de jure officer, a public officer who is in all respects legally appointed and qualified to exercise the office, or a person who has a lawful right to the office but has either been ousted from or has never actually taken possession of the office. And that is what we have been prevented from. We have been ousted by deceit, okay, from our office so that we could not take the office, the public office, the republic office. That's what we have to come in and take. And like I said, our public office is higher than their governmental public offices. Because we are the ones who elect. And then the elected officers that we elect, they appoint the other officers. So they're sub-officers to the elected officers. Ain't that the way the thing works in this country? That's the way it's supposed to work. But see, they've got you voting as a private individual, a pirate. And what was it said in the Pirates of the Caribbean? Oh, those are just sort of codes of law, and we don't really have to apply here to them. Yeah, in a pirate scenario, in a private scenario, yeah, you don't have to comply with those items. Because you're a privateer when you're trying to operate in the public realm. So all these patriots that are out here wanting to be private, they're the enemies. They just don't realize it. And they've got everybody else to be continuing to be an enemy in the process. We have to come in and take our public offices of authority over them. Then we can start shutting them down. I've got 11 pages of definitions. I'll scan these and I'll send them to Tom. Then he can post them up if he wants to.
I will, no problem.
But did he just start thinking about writing up a republic officer court filing or as a mission into the court records, shutting down all of your commercial licenses, leases, certificates, doing a revision or a reversionary of your initial setup with your fictional tenant, your public officer. that you're going to have out in front. The landlord always has a front man that goes out. This will get our sovereignty back to us. When we understand how we operate our sovereignty and how we protect the land. But we do a reversion as like a revision to a new contract. It's called a reversion, and we're called the reversioner. Person entitled to an estate in reversion is a reversioner. And our estate is basically the gift that we were given upon our birth and all accumulated assets, our rights and liberties. Then we will probably end up having a new number. But what we really have is basically the recording into the book of life, into the land record, both with the documented one for your birthing and one for if you were in the military. Your DD-214 when you put it into the military land record. Get a certified copy of that, and basically now you have a justifiable claim against the military land record. Then on the back of that, you could turn that DD-214 into a warrant, a military payment warrant, and submit that into the treasurer. But you have to come in as the Republic officer, the U.S. elector, under your Republic office, your public Republic office, we'll say. And then see if you get that certified from the county records. You shouldn't need to have a notary public on it, because those are only issued out to ones that have lawful authority to obtain them. But I would, for right now, I think I would go ahead and have a notary concurrence on the back of or your warrant. But you send out and basically get it in there that you are coming in as the office or the agent of the office. For the land, for the DD-214, that'd be for services rendered. For your pay. And I tried to do that with some of those Excel files years ago too. Setting up a pay, the hours, how much ever hours I was working, I was trying to put in like for $22 an hour. But see, I sent them to the wrong place. I've done everything that I should have been doing, but I sent it to the wrong damn place. It needs to go to the treasurer. But we have to come in as a public officer submitting our statement in to fund that public office. Our budget for our public office. They do it all the time. That's what we need to do. And they have to honor it because we're the ones that stand over them. And we're going to the treasury that basically we were entitled to as a gift from our birthing or from naturalization or from military service. You have to do this in reasonable amounts, okay? Now, all your utility bills that you get, they're coming from a public utility. Why are you not getting anything done? Because you're trying to act like a private individual. But if you were sitting there as a public officer, and see, that public utility borrowed from the treasury, so it has a public bill that it owes back to the treasury. So now if you come in as a public officer to set off that public bill that they owe back to the treasury, it's a wash. It will be set off. But if you come in as a private individual, it's not going to be set off. Because they can only deal with the public. I hope that makes sense. I could go on and on about this stuff. Sham, okay? The word S-H-A-M, sham, false, counterfeit, pretended, unreal. Any trick or fraudulent device that disappoints or makes believe a humbug. Sham gift, a gift in form, but not in fact. All of these certificates, they claim that they were a gift, and then they turn around and in most cases try and get you to pay the taxes, the gift tax, for those items. It's a sham gift. You never got any gift from them. That driver's license was no damn benefit to you whatsoever. You could drive without that damn driver's license, so what benefit did that driver's license give you? Not a damn thing. Certificate of title to the vehicle. What benefit did that give you? Not a damn thing. It allowed them to use the vehicle as collateral for their bondage and set up a charitable trust in the background, but it didn't give you a damn benefit whatsoever. 99% of all insurance policies are bullshit. They're shams. If they weren't a sham, the damn insurance companies wouldn't be building new insurance companies all over the place and paying pittance out to these guys to go out and fleece you. This is one of the biggest carnivals there is. They've got all these carnies running around. Think Vegas is big. Hell, this damn casino here called the United States is the biggest casino there is. And they are wagering that you're not going to wake up. And right now, they're on the winning side. The deck is stacked in their favor because there are very, very few that are waking up. And if they wake up under their control to where they've signed in on their side of the picture, like being a dealer at the 21 table, and they try and tell people how the game is being rigged, they're going to be taken out in the back room or in the back alley and taken care of. Or thrown off the damn top of the building. Oh, that was suicide. Yeah. How many bankers here in the last 6 months have basically committed suicide? I think it's well over 20-some. Not to include some of their damn family members along with them.
There's probably a lot more than we hear of.
Yeah. Well, that basically you never really see, but basically they, in other accidents or whatever. And then there's a lot that are scared to death out there, and they're not going to do a damn thing. They know the truth, but they're not going to put it out because they've been threatened already. And they will only come out after enough of us people start standing up to this. And see, when you start standing up as a public officer, like I said, now the FBI has to stand in because the FBI is there as an interface between one public office and another public office. That was what it was originally set up for. And then when you start coming in as the Republic elector officer, now when you go to the Secret Service and everybody else, now they have to give you your due respect of office. Because you are a U.S. elector or an agent of that office. Just like all these damn shitting senators and congressmen running around and thinking their shit don't stink, and everybody kisses their damn ass trying to get a damn benefit from them, which is a total scam. Now you stand over those senators and congressmen. Because you can now start putting the word out onto them and pulling the vote away from them. And it only takes two to allege treason. So when two Republic officers, U.S. electors, in the same state file a charge against one of their state senators, basically, they're going to be dead in the water. You got to read why and understand why the Constitution was set up the way it was. And you got to read and understand what you are supposed to be doing in the process. You have free will, but you have to operate in the republic with your free will. As a republic officer, you have free will to make up your choice of what you want for the republic. You're the one that makes the choice of right and wrong. And then you also have your free choice of right and wrong in your private affairs. But you keep the private in the private, but you have to have your public interface out front. And this is the same situation that was set up in Rome, in the Roman Empire, way before Christ even came upon the scene. In a lot of cases, this was the same, in a same scenario of what was trying to be set up in Greece. But the people and the money changers totally destroyed the damn thing. In the movie, basically, we'll go into starting off. When you were born, you had to have the umbilical cord, so you were tendered to your mother. You had to have the umbilical cord to become free, cut, to become free. And then you had to prove that you could live freely for 90 days after that. But you have got given in to being tendered with and held down by tendering lines called these certificates and these licenses. These are tendering lines holding you down, tying you down. You need to let them go. How did they destroy Troy? They brought the Trojan horse into Troy. How did they get the Trojan horse into Troy? They pulled it in by ropes. They tendered it into inside the walls. And then they got destroyed. That's what's taking place here right now. In the movie Wizard of Oz, at the very end, most people don't think of it this way, that basically it was there. Dorothy had all high expectations that she was going home on that damn balloon. That was going to take her home. But it wasn't. If she would have got on that balloon, she never would have gone back home. That's the fact. The tendering lines let loose, and the balloon sailed away. But yet Dorothy still got back home because she woke up. If she would have got on that balloon, she never would have woke up. That's the part of the movie that nobody really sees. And that's what's taking place right now in this country. You hang on to these false expectations and hopes and everything else, and you will never wake up. You will never totally be free. And they will take you to your death. Okay. Go ahead. You got any questions?
I guess we should all start making up our budgets, as well as doing warrants for the stuff.
No, the first thing you start needing to do is get the damn dictionary and start studying.
That's true.
Yes. This thing is a maze, okay? It's a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle. Until you know how to put all the words in, and each word is a piece in the jigsaw puzzle. So until you start understanding how to put the word in the right place on the jigsaw puzzle, you're never going to put the picture together, and you're just going to come up with a piece of shit. And that's basically what we've been having to contend with. We never had the words in the right format in this process because we didn't look at enough of them. Like I said, I started out with that one I gave to you there earlier, a page and a quarter of definitions. I'm up to 11 pages now of going in and putting different words into the process that are all needed. All parts of the damn thing. Going into a court case, shifting the burden of proof. That is a big item. You have to shift the burden of proof back to them. But nobody ever really shifts the burden of proof back to them. And how do you do that? You surrender the item that basically is the charging item, saying, hey, this ain't me. Here, take it. You got it. It's yours. The mortgage contract, the driver's license, whatever, the credit card. You surrender it to them and say, settle it. And you come in as an officer, a public officer, to make that action take hold. You don't come in as Joe Blow or Tom Smith. You come in as the Republic officer of your Republic office. Your public office of authority. Because that Republic officer office is part of the sovereignty of the land. So now you're standing in as basically the sovereign in that court scenario. Statutes are not just by the public government. They're also issued by the Republic officer. A private statute is one which concerns only certain designated individuals. And see, you can issue your private statutes. as an officer, as a republic or public officer, a U.S.elector. In that capacity, you have every action that you see out here in these public offices. Getting paid for their receipts that they have to pay out of their back pocket. Their budgets. Every scenario is the same thing. You just have to start operating that way. But you, like I said, are a higher officer than them. And see, in a lot of cases, they are doing a subordination of you, getting you to, procuring you to commit a crime. Several of these words have turned these judges and made them run from the court. But see, the words haven't been utilized by the other people in the proper retrospect because they never had the authority behind them. They never had the office authority. So basically, they were just disregarded. But when you get your office, authority of office behind you, and then you start standing over these courts. See, and half of them are operating in total fraud. We know that for a fact. Because half of the damn judges out there are claiming to be a woman. And to be classified as a de jure office holder, judge, a woman cannot be there. Because like I've tried to reiterate and state numerous times over, a woman is always in bondage. I hate to tell you that, but you are. You're either bonded to your father, your dead husband, or your living husband. So you're in bondage. But it's a protective bondage, making you an agent of that office. So you are a bonded agent. Now, a female could not be a judge because they could not be under any bondage. So what are they? They could be an accountant or an administrator, but they sure don't deserve the title of judge. So if they want to try and claim that title of judge, basically they're going to get it shoved right up you know where. Now, you can only do that if you're standing in with the authority of your office, your public office. And see, they're operating in a subversive manner. And basically, that calls for deportation. Okay, go ahead. Any questions? I'll try and not get too carried away here. Any questions? Star 6, come in, come on, wake up. You guys asleep out there?
Well, I'm basically going to go over this call carefully and get the collection of words and look them up.
No, I'm not saying that you can't go ahead and take your utility bill, but you have to know that your title, your office title, is very important, and then you have to think about what you're going to write up into the treasury. You have to come in like you're submitting a claim as a public officer. You might go into the internet there and see if there's any items like a receipt. I mean, it's been in the movies, numerous places out there, to where, like in some of the cop movies or whatever, that the secretary or whoever tells them, well, you've got to turn in your receipts.
Yeah. You have to make an expense report.
Yeah. So basically you can find out if there's any sort of standard forms for some of these expense forms that are out there and download them and then modify them for your usage.
Right.
You don't use their form. See, we're a republic officer. We make up our own forms. Same thing with your budget, okay? You can find some standard formats, some Excel files or whatever out there for a budget, and then basically figure it out. Or your salary, your labor, whatever.
Okay.
You the only ones on the line, Tom?
Pardon?
You the only ones on the line?
No, there's 14 people, including you and me. But evidently, they're not speaking up.
I guess they know it all then, huh?
Either that or
you guys know it all? Got no questions? Got no concerns? Got no new words? Are you guys alive out there?
Hey, Ben.
Yes, I'm alive.
Okay.
Patrick.
Yeah.
What about the book of Deborah? Was she not a judge?
A what?
The book of Deborah in the Bible.
I don't know.
Was
I can't
she not
remember
a judge?
Yeah, but she may have been a Jezebel judge, okay? See, there are certain things that are in the Bible. You got to have to reread that thing and see whether it was for the good side or for the bad side. See, both stories are in the Bible, the good and the bad, the deception and see, in a lot of cases, the bankers probably would have put her in there trying to justify that that she was on the good side. Okay, it's hard to say. You'd have to sit down and really analyze it a little better.
Hey, Patrick, this is Steve.
Yeah.
I was I wanted to make a comment. I was just thinking that this quest of ours, and especially you, has been like Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt and wandering around the desert for 40 years.
Well, no, the deal about the 40 years was basically Moses did that, okay,
yeah,
to try and clean their minds, okay?
Right.
Away from all the deception, okay?
Right.
To get them away from that.
Right.
But going into and contending with the pharaohs, that's what we are in the process of right now, okay?
Yeah.
And then basically, but in a lot of cases, people have to take almost a 40-day hiatus away from the internet and shut everything down if they really want to clean up their mind.
Yeah, I think that image is what kind of came to my mind. I wanted to say that comment because they didn't get it for a long time, and they kept wanting to return and go back like a dog returning to his vomit.
Yeah. And see, that's what I had to do to get to where I was. I had to shut down back in 2010, shut down everything, all the talk shows and everything that I was being involved with, and the internet, and for well over almost 60 days, stay completely away from the damn internet.
Yeah.
And just start studying words and different things like that to where I could try and piecemeal some of this back into the truth, going into the Bible and looking at different aspects there. But that's what people really need to do, is take 40 days, really, and clear your mind up, okay?
Yeah.
And because you've got to realize that 99% of this stuff out here is all garbage, and it's going to take you down. You've got to get rid of it.
And quit listening to the wrong people, too.
Well, yeah, but it takes a little while to figure out who the wrong people are.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anybody that's out here talking, I mean, yeah, some of these guys tell a good story, and basically then if they won't change, come around in the process and open themselves up. Hell, I've tried to have an open door for all these other gurus out here, and none of them talk to me.
I know, like, what, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think will happen with, you know, us people out here in California? We were on board with the forum, like the United States of America General Post Office, you know, Keith and those guys, learning from him. And because we didn't accept him, we didn't approve of having a World Congress. Like, we don't need another UN. We unanimously out here. So he just kicked us out of the union. And, like, so we're just, like, you know, figuring out things and listening to you and other people.
He's a fraud.
I know. But what do you think's going to happen to him? I mean, he's not going to go anywhere if he doesn't learn what you're teaching.
No, he's not going to go anywhere. Okay, right. He's still tendered to their damn system.
Yeah.
Okay. He doesn't know that he's supposed to be in the public realm. He's still trying to operate in the private. So he's like one of those rogue outfits in the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
He's just a rogue pirate.
And that's why the cops are all on alert. Like, when they saw my private civilian plates, man, there was like 6 cop cars and a helicopter and everything.
Yeah, but if you put on there now as a U.S. elector and you are a public officer, okay, now that will take a different limelight because now you're in the public realm with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the trials and tribulations, but that's how you learn. You're not going to learn it if it's just handed to you on your lap. You got to get in there and, you know, try what you think is going to work, and you got to do it, you know, and that's how you learn. If you fail, you got to pull up your socks and keep going.
Yeah, and see, this is in the Constitution, okay? Who elects the president?
Electors.
And then when you read the definition about what an elector is, they have to meet the same qualifications as a House of Representative. That means they have to be over the age of 25, and they to be a representative of man, which is not clearly pointed out in the Constitution, but to represent another man, you cannot be in debt to any other man. Because if you were in debt to somebody else, you could not give the other person proper representation.
Right.
So that means to be a U.S. elector, you have to be free of debt. We've been given a gift from the Republic at birth, meaning that we have access to the Treasury to pay all of our debts. Therefore, we would never be a debtor. All we need to do is basically send the bill to the Treasury. You'll never be a debtor.
Right. You don't have to change your status. You just want to come on board and announce you're taking office.
You have to identify your status.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to make the claim as you are re-entering your office.
Right.
That you have not taken hold of yet.
Right.
And that you're throwing all the other garbage aside.
Yeah.
You shut down your fictional person and surrendered all of his subleasing contracts, and then you are doing a reversion contract with him. And in the reversion contract, he is not going to be able to sublease any of the stuff that you give to him. That's what your reversionary contract is going to be.
Yeah, Kevin, did you have something? I had to mute you out because of the background noise, but you were going to ask a question?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Kind of like the executing or exiling the fictional person before. They're the all those other false contracts before. You're saying the same thing, but you're calling it reversionary.
Yeah, we're bringing him to a termination of this contract, and then we're doing a reversion of the item, and that's where we will have a new court case. If we need to have a new recorded number, that we will basically, there's going to be a court of record, and in that court of record, all of those false Social Security number or whatever, if anything is recorded in there, those are to be terminated. And we will have it on record with the court. And then basically, I'm going to send this into my state district court, also to the federal district court, and also to Judge Alito, the justice for the 8th Circuit. As the Supreme Court. So I will give them 3 different notifications at the different court levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I missed. I didn't have my time. I wasn't close to the phone. I was about a half hour late, so I'll pick up the first half hour later on the recording. But I got the rest of it.
Okay. Anybody else?
It looks like not, Patrick.
But the U.S. the U.S. of America, you know, it like what we're talking about. We're being electors of the real United States still, right?
We are the electors, the republic officers,
right,
based upon the Articles of Confederation.
Yeah.
So we the people, and then basically we come in for the Constitution, which set up the corporate United States, the de jure corporate United States
Right.
government.
That's like the co-pilot.
Okay, and we are the electors to elect the office holders of those offices.
Right.
Now, they turn around with the 14th Amendment and 1871 and set up the second corporate United States. So now you have a United States of United States, or U.S., and that's why I said look up the definition of the word U.S. in the dictionary.
Huh.
And then look at the other words in that definition that you don't fully understand. And I mean, when you go into a definition, just don't read and think that you know every word in that definition, because I can guarantee you don't. So you take that definition and look at the words that you don't think, or you know you don't really understand, and you go and look up those words. And that's where you will turn around and start with one definition, and you'll end up with about 20 pages of other words going from one definition to another definition to find out how to put the jigsaw puzzle together.
Right. Is U.S. in Valentine's or somewhere else?
Yeah, it's in Ballantyne's, it's in Black's, I think it's in Bouvier's too.
Okay.
Well, I don't know whether it's in Bouvier's. Bouvier's leaves a lot of things out.
Right.
Okay? Let me warn you about that. Okay? Bouvier's basically is working for the deceivers from everything that I can find out, because they have left out quite a few legal words that we need to have in the de jure Republic side. So they're really more or less working for the banker's side. But Ballantyne's, Anderson's, and Black's, you should be able to piecemeal a lot of this together. And then always use a non-commercial or a non-legal dictionary, a good one, to get some additional understandings of some of these words.
After we get rounded out and brought up to speed with your understanding, Pat, it would be cool to have you come on a blog talk radio so that a lot of people could have access, to this information.
Why?
Well, I just thought
this is recorded right now. All you need to do is pass the word out. Okay?
Yeah, just get the word out, right.
No, I don't need to talk too damn much more. I've been talking too damn much already.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it. We can do that.
Start listening.
Yeah, we'll get up to speed and we'll go out and talk. I mean, you've been generous to share your knowledge.
Hand them out.
Yeah, you've been generous sharing your knowledge, and we'll be doing the same. We'll be out doing the same.
Yes.
I mean, I feel compelled to. I like to drop bombs on people. Wake them up.
Okay. Anybody else?
It is kind of quiet out there. You guys must, it's encouraging to hear from anybody.
Well, call tonight, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Patrick.
Okay, later.
A lot to work on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.